Karanja, and it's be the president of this amazing club. And I would like to welcome you to Watabaruku Toastmasters, where, like any other Toastmasters club, we provide an environment where you develop as a public speaker and leader, but with one specific focus. We are here to help you become an advanced Toastmaster. Whether you've been in Toastmaster for a while and you'd like to take your journey to the next level, you like to take your delivery and your presentation skills to the next level, this is a place that you can do it. We provide you the space to hone your skills in an excellent way through the evaluations that we deliver, and over the course of this year through the education sessions that we're going to deliver, as well as the coaching we're going to give to our members. I would now like to ask our executive committee members to please introduce themselves. We'll start off with the VPE and work our way to the immediate past president. Mr. VPE, please, over to you.
Hello and welcome to Watabaruku. My name is Kelvin Rubia. I'm also a distinguished Toastmaster, hence the DTM.
Thank you so much, DTM, Kevin Rubia. Next, I'm going to call upon our Secretary Treasurer, Serah Wanjiku. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, Toastmasters and guests. I am Serah Wanjiku, in place of Treasurer / Secretary of Watabaruku Advanced Toastmasters Club. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Serah Wanjiku. And to our immediate past president, Kevin Kimbio, over to you.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Good evening, everyone. I'm glad to be here with you this evening. My name is Kelvin Mondoe, and I am the immediate past president of Watabaruku Toastmasters Club. Back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you so much, Kevin, immediate past president. And I would like to invite a few of our guests to please tell us the expectations for this evening. If it is the first time you're visiting Watabaruku Toastmasters, please unmute yourself and tell us where you're coming, where you're joining us from, and what you are looking forward to this evening. Anybody who would like to go first?
I suppose I can go first. I don't know how many are guests.
Yes, please.
Hello. First of all, thank you so much for having me. It is 12 p.m. Eastern here on our time. And where am I? I am all the way in the United States, and I hail from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I am part of District 38 Toastmasters. And recently, as Kevin may know, I am going to be representing District 38 in our semifinals for the international speech contest coming up in August. But I am here because of my love for Kevin and my love for Nairobi, Kenya, of which I am hoping to visit at some point in time in person. However, Kevin and his team and the Toastmasters from Nairobi, Kenya invited me in, and during the pandemic, I found a new love. I'm very happy to be able to join you. I am also a teacher. Therefore, right now, this is our summer break. So I mentioned to Kevin, 12 p.m., I actually have some time. I would love to join you. He also asked me to take on a role, of which I said, really? This is my first time with this particular club, but I'm certain that if it's anything close to how welcoming Kevin has been in our long distance friendship, then I know that I'm at safe hands and in a warm space. So I'm very happy to join you all this evening. And I'm looking forward to maybe attending a few more meetings. And hopefully when school starts back up, if time permits, I can be a returning guest. Thank you.
Thank you so much, DTM. Leslie, we wish you all the best in the semifinals. And when you come to Kenya, we are going to welcome you with open hands and warm hearts. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I would like to have seen Dan Mukendi had unmuted himself. Over to you, Dan.
Hi, first time I'm here. Excuse the darkness. I'll soon be able to join the light in about 5 minutes. I saw a message on WhatsApp. I've never been here. I'm a member of 2 clubs in Johannesburg. One is a bilingual club, English and French, in the same meeting at the same time. And the other one is Speech Quest, which is you would say a regular Toastmasters club, monolingual, only English. So I'm honored to be here. I'm looking forward to see how things are done in this club. I'm expecting the wonderful way Toastmasters does things globally, but I'm first time here. Looking forward to attend an amazing meeting.
Thank you so much, Dan, for joining us this evening, all the way from Johannesburg. It's a great pleasure to have you. Anybody else would like to introduce themselves, visiting Toastmaster, even from our district? Fantastic. At this point in time, I'd like to introduce us to the meeting etiquette of this online club. Please allow me to share my screen in just a moment. There we go. At Watabaruku, Watabaruku is a Swahili word for people who gather for a social purpose. And we are an online advanced club found in District 114, East Africa, and open to members worldwide, dual or otherwise. We provide a positive and supportive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. How do we do this? We offer 3 tiered evaluations where we have different members who focus on your content, your delivery, and your language based on Toastmasters International accredited speaker program, because that is our purpose, to turn you into a professional speaker. The meeting theme is advanced by the Advanced Communication Manuals of Toastmaster Legacy Program. And finally, we offer education workshops designed to deepen the speaking and evaluation skills of our members and visitors. We meet from 7 to 9 p.m. East African time on the first and third Friday of each month, but this might change in the next in future. But in this July, we will meet on the second and fourth Friday. Any Toastmasters who has completed level 3 of any path in Pathways can become a member of our club. Please rename yourself in this way. Role takers, have your role, then your name. For example, Timer, Team Tom. Other Toastmasters, please name yourself this way, your club, then your name. And finally, non-Toastmasters, you can put the word guest before your name, then your name. Meeting guidelines: please keep your video on throughout the meeting. If that is possible, mute your microphone unless you are speaking, and feel free to engage using emojis and chat. Use the poll to give feedback and vote, and most importantly, enjoy yourself and consider becoming a member of our great club. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'll now move on to introduce the Toastmaster of the day. And this evening we have the great privilege of having one of our members guiding our meeting, and this is Toastmaster Winston. Toastmaster Winston is a returning Toastmaster whose passion was reignited after attending a recent meeting of Mtandao Toastmaster, another club, an online club in our area. He was inspired by the energy and the purpose and excellence he witnessed, and felt a deep reminder of what makes Toastmasters truly powerful: the transformative magic of a well-prepared meeting. He is rejoining not just to complete the pathway he once began, but to contribute to meaningfully to this vibrant community of professionals pursuing personal growth through mentoring and delivering impactful speeches. And who knows, With renewed fire and focus, we might just see him one day take the stage at the World Championship of Public Speaking. Thank you so much, Winston Owino, for taking this role. Over to you.
Built to last or built to adapt? That is the question. This theme was inspired by the story of the Choluteca Bridge in Honduras. And you may know this story as it was popularized back when COVID hit. As the story goes, Honduras was once plagued by constant hurricanes which caused a river to flood, which also led to destruction of roads. Now, the engineers thought if we built a bridge that would withstand this chaos, then we would have solved the problem. So they built the structure, but something interesting happened. The river changed course, and they ended up with this expensive bridge that no longer served its purpose. And so we turn back to the question, build to last or build to adapt? But as you think about it, this story also mirrors leadership and communication. And tonight we will be exploring how great communicators and leaders balance timeless principles with real-time responsiveness. To help me bring this meeting theme to life, I have the various meeting functionaries with whom I will contrive to make this meeting a success. And we'll start with the timekeeper, Serah Wanjiku. I asked Serah, how does time management help leaders balance endurance and adaptability? She said, when time management is done right, leaders will have the luxury of work-life balance, and they will endure and adapt in areas that they are expected to, and in the process support their roles in leadership and self-development. Serah, please tell us about your role.
Thank you, Toastmaster Winston. This evening, as your timer, I will be very keen on timing every activity going on starting now. And as we know, time is the mother of life. And as the currency of today, this is how we are going to use our currency with our speeches. For our prepared speeches this evening, we have an icebreaker that will be timed for 4 to 6 minutes. For this particular icebreaker, I will raise the green card at 4 minutes, the yellow card at 5 minutes, and at 6 minutes, I will raise the red card. At the end of this presentation, I will show the cards. We also have our table topic session. This session, table topic speakers should limit their remarks to no more than 2 minutes. At 1 minute, I will raise the green card. At 1 minute and 30 seconds, I will raise the yellow card. And at 2 minutes, I will raise the red card until the speaker will be done with their speech. Next, we will have our evaluation session. In Watabaruku Advanced Toastmasters Club, we do our evaluations a bit differently. We will have the content evaluator who will have 2 to 3 minutes. I will raise the green card at 2 minutes, the yellow card at 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and the red card at 3 minutes until the evaluator is done. We also have a delivery evaluator for the same speech, who also has 2 to 3 minutes. And at 2 minutes, I will show the green card. At 2 minutes and 30 seconds, I will show the yellow card. And at 3 minutes, I will show the red card. Our grammar evaluator will also be evaluated for 1 to 2. We'll have 1 to 2 minutes to evaluate our speaker. They will have 1 minute. I will do the green card at 1 minute. 1 minute, 30 seconds, I will do the yellow card. And I will show the red card at 2 minutes. Our general evaluator will also be timed, being given 5 to 7 minutes. At 5 minutes, I will show the green card. At 6 minutes, I will show the yellow card. At 7 minutes, I will show the red card until the general evaluator is done with their report. Our grammarian also will be timed, again, getting 3 to 5 minutes for their report. 3 minutes, I'll show the green card. 4 minutes, the yellow card, and 5 minutes, the red card until they are done. I'll now request that all speakers, all participating, look at the screen. Our sergeant at arms will spotlight my video as the speakers are doing their speeches. And this is how it's going to be. That is our green card. Toastmaster of the day confirmed to me that it is visible.
It is visible.
Thank you. That will be the green card. That is the yellow card. And that is the red card. Let us work at keeping the time that we have been given. All the best and enjoy your time at Watabaruku Toastmasters Club. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Indeed, let us endeavor to stay within the time that has been allotted. As the timekeeper said, time is the mother of life. Next up, we have the grammarian, Grace Waithira. I asked Grace, which of the two shapes influence more? A classic message that lasts or a fresh message that adapts with the times? And she said, without hesitation, a fresh message, especially in this age of social media, because one has to be creative with their messaging. Grace, please take us through your role and introduce the word of the day.
Thank you so much, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day. I will be the grammarian, and it is my responsibility to pay close attention to all speakers, listening carefully to their language use. I'll take note of improper use of language and also the outstanding words, quotes, sayings, or thoughts. As grammarian tonight at Watabaruku, I'll also stand in for the A-counter role. And for the A-counter, I will pay close attention to your use of grammar and listen out for crutch or pause fillers. Anyone who uses the words I'll take note of that and I'll give a report at the end of the meeting. It is also my responsibility to share with you the word of the day, which has already been used once by the Toastmaster of the day. And the word of the day is contrive. Contrive means to arrange for something to happen using clever planning. And an example in a sentence is, somehow she contrived to get tickets for the concert. Synonyms for the words are orchestrate, create, devise, concoct, formulate, plan. Kindly contrive to use the word of the day. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster of the day.
Indeed, let us all contrive to use the word of the day. We now proceed to the general evaluator, Leslie, who's joining us all the way from the United States. Leslie will lead the evaluation team in ensuring our session maintains Toastmasters standards of excellence. And of course, you could just let us know, Leslie, what your role will entail so that I'll introduce you to give us your report later on. Welcome, Leslie.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Master Toastmaster. My role, greetings, fellows. The purpose of the general evaluator is to evaluate everything that takes place during the meeting. I will be taking notes on everything that happens, but also everything that might not happen. And I will evaluate each participant on the meeting program and look for good examples of where preparation, organization, delivery, enthusiasm, observation, and performance of the duties takes place. At the end of the meeting, I will be very happy to give my arduous report. Back to you.
We have had the elements that Leslie will be looking out for, so let us all contrive to make Leslie happy. And now we proceed to one of the core pillars of a Toastmasters meeting, and that is the prepared speeches. Our first speaker is none other than Eric Mwangi. Eric responded to my question, and this is what I asked him. When crafting a message, how do you decide what to preserve for timeless impact, and what do you do to reshape it for today's audience? And he said he aims to connect and convey his message at an emotional and intellectual level while feeding into the culture of the time. I will now welcome the content evaluator, Leanne Agutu, to tell us more about Eric's speech project. Do we have
Good
Leanne?
evening, everyone. This evening it is my... Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the Day. This evening it is my pleasure to evaluate Toastmaster Eric Mwangi. He is attempting his second path, which is persuasive influence. He is attempting level 1. And I will only introduce the title of his speech, but I will incorporate his objectives into the evaluation. And so, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce Toastmaster Eric Mwangi with his speech, 16 years. 16 years, Toastmaster Eric Mwangi.
16 years. That is how long it has been. 16 years of seeing the tall trees in my family fall one after the other. 16 years since I laid to rest my father, then my grandfathers, then my grandmother, my uncles, and earlier this year, my aunt. 16 years of crossing that invisible line into middle age. A reluctant witness to the changing tides of life. They say you never really overcome grief. You just learn to carry it differently. Time is not a bar that soothes the ache. It is a monument. Quiet, unshakable witness to the changing seasons. Happiness marked with tragedy. Success marked tangled with failure. And youth inevitably giving way to the ravages of age. My father died at 49 years old of diabetes and high blood pressure, 2 conditions deeply woven into the threads of my family history. When the news came, it arrived in waves. Shock, confusion, and finally, the long aching silence before sorrow sets in. I was only 21 years old when it happened, and suddenly I was the man of the house. A title handed down not by ceremony, but by circumstance, and one I did not really know how to wear. Only felt this crushing weight of responsibility, trying to figure out how to bury my father, how to console my mother and sister, and how to fend off the opportunistic vultures circling my father's estate. Beneath it all, beneath the grief and the noise, lurked a deeper fear, a fear I had not fully acknowledged till that very moment. Was I next? Would I follow the same path? Die alone, young, of diabetes, or a stroke in the so-called prime of my life? You see, his death had not only left a gashing wound, It had created a new version of me. I was reborn, not in joy, but in fire, baptized into manhood by tragedy. So, for the next 16 years, I ran. I ran not from responsibility, but towards life, or at least what I thought life ought to be. I chose adventure over stability. I traveled to 35 countries, indulged in wild nights, embraced risk with open arms, started businesses, made impulsive decisions, and lived audaciously. I refused to be what society expected me to become. A man in a tiny suburban house with a stable job, a mortgage, 2 kids, and a Labrador. That life felt to me like desperation in disguise. But over time, things change. I began to value stillness, the kind that comes from sharing a moment with family or helping a friend without fanfare. I found meaning in not just the exciting, but in the ordinary and the mundane. And having lived my life in full view of my mortality, I discovered something eternal, the immortality of love, kindness, and of community. And that is what led me here to Toastmasters. Not just to become a better speaker or a more confident leader, but to connect, to share my story and to hear yours, and to grow alongside others that know that words, when used with courage and care, can build bridges that outlast us. As Albert Pike once said, what is done for ourselves alone dies with us, and what is done for others and the world remains and is immortal. So thank you for listening to me, for welcoming me, and for giving me a chance to be something greater than myself. It is my hope that I'll be of service with the time that is given to me.
Eric, now that we have welcomed you and given you the chance, we will also give you this wisdom. Based on your speech, 16 is your lucky number. Use that information as you please. Let us now segue to the second and final speaker this evening, and that is Anne Njeru. I asked Anne, what's a lesson from your leadership journey that has either endured or evolved over time? And how did it shape today's speech? This is what she said. Her initial approach as a leader was just to meet goals and deadlines. But now she has shifted to a more people-centric approach, which fosters open communication. Anne will be evaluated by Rahma as the content evaluator, and I will now welcome Rahma to tell us more about Anne's speech project. Welcome, Rahma.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster of the evening. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and invited guests. Tonight, I have the pleasure of evaluating an ardent and dedicated Toastmaster, Njeru. Anne is attempting Level 3 Project 3 and a Presentation Mastery Pathway. which is an elective project inspiring your audience. The title of her speech is Budgeting, the Key to Financial Freedom. The purpose of this project is for the member to practice writing and delivering a speech that inspires others. Budgeting, the Key to Financial Freedom, Toastmaster Njeru, Budgeting, the Key to Financial Freedom.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and esteemed guests. This evening, I invite you to contemplate our financial well-being akin to our physical health, with budgeting being the backbone, the spine that owns the structure and stability of our monetary affairs. Just as a spineless body lacks form and function, individuals without a budget will find themselves in a sea of financial uncertainty. Consider those with spinal injuries, forever relying on others for mobility. Similarly, individuals without a budget will find themselves vulnerable to the whims of impulse purchases and debt accumulation. Statistics reveal a stark truth of 75% of people budget, but a mere 3% stick to their budget. It is like telling ourselves, I'll start eating healthy, but forever finding yourself with a bag of chips. The prevalence of instant gratification in today's society fosters impulse spending practices, leading to financial uncertainty. Discipline is very paramount. A budget acts both as a shield against impulse spending practices and a catalyst to enduring financial habits. A budget is a financial GPS. You may take a detour or two, but you know where you're headed. Dave Ramsey said, a budget is telling your money where to go instead of wondering where your money went. A well-crafted budget acts as a guiding light towards the prudent management of our income, our spending, and our savings. It establishes the foundation of an emergency fund, a crucial buffer when life throws you curveballs, may it be a family emergency or a sickness. Think of an emergency fund as that superhero who swoops in to save the day when life throws you at a corner. Remember, it is not an emergency if it was planned for, but forget this particular fund and everything becomes an emergency. Moreover, a budget helps us in debt management. By earmarking funds towards debt repayment and rainy day savings, individuals can regain back the control of their money. Remember, a debt is that creature friend who overstays their welcome. A budget will help you show them the door, and very fast. Why pay high interest to banks when you could be saving that amount towards a dream vacation? Budgeting is the ultimate freedom ticket. Apart from mere money management, a budget also paves the way towards realization of our dreams and aspirations by giving clarity to the savings that are required, timelines, and sacrifices to be made, changing those lofty ambitions into tangible realities. Ladies and gentlemen, let's dispel the misconception that budgeting equates to deprivation. Instead, a budget helps us align our spending with our values and our priorities, making deliberate choices that nurture our financial well-being and future prosperity. As the saying goes, a budget is telling your money, go to the gym instead of a snack shop. In conclusion, a budget will help us craft a life of purpose and abundance. It is not figures on a spreadsheet, but it's seizing the control of our finances, every shilling at a time. I implore each and every one of us here to take the advantage of budgeting and craft a budget that aligns with our dreams and aspirations. And before we embark on this journey of budgeting, I want to raise an alarm that it is not going to be easy. Poor choices will fight back. Bad habits will fight back. Impulse spending habits will fight back. Even logic will fight back and tell you this is solely true to start budgeting. But let me tell you, those are all land rights. And that land right should not make you stop or not continue with budgeting. You must go through the land right by force, because it is at this juncture that you're going to get to the next level of financial stability. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
When you read books such as Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, one gets the perception that having multiple income streams is the key to financial freedom. But Anne has dispelled that myth by telling us that having a budget is akin to having a financial GPS. We have now come to the end of the prepared speeches section, and I will now ask our Sergeant at Arms to launch the poll, and I will request each and every one of us to vote for the better speaker. I'm seeing a 63% participation rate. Hopefully we have close to 100. Let's keep the votes coming in. And this poll will be closing in about 10 seconds. All right, we will now end the poll. Thank you for voting for your choice of better speaker. At this time, we will take a 3-minute break, but please do remember, this is not the end. We still have speech evaluations. We have reports from the various meeting functionaries. So let us stay tuned even as we go for the break. But before that, I see Kevin Rubia has raised his hand. Yes, Kevin.
With your permission, Mr. Toastmaster, I'd also like to launch an audience feedback poll for people to fill during the break. Each poll will run for roughly a minute for the first speaker and the second speaker, with your indulgence.
Of course, we are good on time, so you could go ahead and share the poll. We can do it for about a minute. So 30 seconds each for each speaker, just before we head into the break. May I request the Sergeant at Arms to please launch the feedback poll for the speakers. I'm not seeing any participation. I'm guessing people are still typing. They have a lot to say. All right, this poll will close in about 20 seconds, so I hope we are all submitting our feedback. All right, I'm only seeing one person has responded, but I think, Kelvin, we can still launch this after the break, correct?
So that the data is not lost. Yes, during the break, not after.
All right, during the break, perfect. So let us continue submitting our feedback, but for now, let us take a 3-minute break and let's come back after 3 minutes. All right, and we are now back after that short break. We will now get into a segment that will indeed require us to adapt to the situation, the famous table topics. The person who will be leading us through this segment is none other than the immediate past president, Kelvin. I asked Kelvin, as you prepare to lead us in a time of impromptu speeches, will you lean towards timeless themes or timely provocations? And he said, the best things in life come from taking a random chance and finding out if it works. I hope that statement helps those who will be called upon to respond to table topics. But at this point, I now welcome Kelvin. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster of today evening. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and welcome guests. I am your table topics master tonight, and I'm here to guide us through one of the most fun parts of the meeting. Table topics is all about speaking and thinking on your feet. It also gives us a chance to learn how to speak off the cuff. That is no script, no slides, just you and your thoughts. It also gives an opportunity to people who do not have a role in the meeting, an opportunity to speak and participate. And so this is how it works. I'll introduce a topic and pick a speaker who is expected to speak on that particular topic for between 1 and 2 minutes. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, this isn't about perfection, it's about enjoying yourself. So remember to enjoy yourself and speak for between 1 to 2 minutes. And here goes our first question. What is the difference between living and existing? What is the difference between living and existing? And this wonderful question, I will direct it to Soni Macharia, Lerai, TMC. Over to you, Soni.
Living or existing? Have you ever felt like you're just getting by life, or you're just living through routines and through mundane stuff? For me, that I would call existing, or I would also call it surviving. However, for me, living is what I would call thriving. That is when I have a purpose. I am living through life guided by a purpose, guided by a direction. And I just love the fact that I joined Toastmasters, because ever since I joined Toastmasters, I am not only existing, but I am living. And I know I am going towards thriving. So for me, Toastmaster Kelvin, I am living and not existing. Back to you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you so much, Soni, for that wonderful speech. Bloom where you are planted. Thank you so much. Our next question. If you had to teach something, what would you teach? And this very simple question, I will direct it to Janet Boyani, Downtown Toastmasters. If you had to teach something, what would you teach? Over to you, Janet.
Good evening, Toastmasters. Yeah, so if I had to teach something, what would it be? In a world that we live full of our social media, with a lot of information, a lot of pressure, one thing I've come to learn is being authentic is one of the best things you can ever be or give. So the thing that I could teach someone or people is to be their true selves. Whatever image they portray outside there, then let it reflect who they truly are. Yeah. So if I had a chance to teach that, then it could be authenticity. Thank you, and back to you.
Thank you so much, Janet, for that well-contrived speech. Be true unto thyself. Our third question. Which is worse, failing or never trying? Which is worse, failing or never trying? And this question, I'll direct it to Meseret Dawit. Over to you, Meseret.
Can you repeat for me? Sorry. Hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, can you repeat the question?
Which is worse, failing or never trying? Which is worse, failing or never trying?
have. It means the things I never tried and failed, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's once upon a time I was thinking of to try, which is very extraordinary. That's what I have been doing. But which is also, I can say, never failing. It's about 5 years ago. That's what I can remember. Back to me.
Thank you so much, Meseret, for your speech. And the fourth question is, what does the Kenyan dream mean to you? What does the Kenyan dream mean to you? And this will go to our guest, Timothy Makomere. Timothy Makomere, what does the Kenyan dream mean to you?
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. Yes, I'm Timothy Makomere, and I've called you fellow Toastmasters because actually I already feel at home. So what does the Kenyan dream feel to me? So as for me, the Kenyan dream is the hope that hustle meets opportunity. It's the way in that the younger developer coding past midnight in Nairobi, and in students is where like help loans balance with high ambitions. It's the situation where you see the fire in Amamamboga waking up at 5 a.m., even if the previous day he or she, that's a she, had just sold a 5-shilling onion. But she will still rise and wake up the next day to chase the Kenyan dream. So in that, the Kenyan dream is a belief. It's where you come from, either Kibra or Kitusuru, shouldn't define where you're going. It should be the promise that you use your talent to hit a very bright future. As for me, my bright future is becoming a billionaire. And that is the Kenyan dream to me. Back to you, Kelvin Kimbio.
Thank you so much, Timothy, for that wonderful speech. Wishing you all the best as you become a Bitcoin billionaire. All right. Our next speaker, I don't know, timekeeper, if I still have more time.
Yes, you have time for one more.
Has your greatest fear ever come true? Has your greatest fear ever come true? And this question, I will direct it to Dan Mukendi. Dan Mukendi, over to you. Has your greatest fear ever come true?
Fellow Toastmasters, the greatest fear always comes true, but then again, here we are. If you look at Toastmasters, when you start speaking for the first time, what's your greatest fear? That you say something embarrassing, and inevitably you say something embarrassing, or you can't find your words, or you've got those long, awkward pauses in your speech because you're trying so hard to remember. Haven't you been one of those people that if you were given a choice between crawling into the gasket and closing it rather than standing up and doing the eulogy, you're not the only one. And that's one of the greatest fear. Public speaking, exposing yourself, the vulnerability of making mistakes and being called to express yourself, and those eyes are staring right back at you. Yes, my greatest fear has come true, and I've survived and lived and thrived beyond that moment. So that leaves me with one question. Besides death, is there anything that will not make me stronger? Is there anything that can stand in my way? Because if I could face my greatest fear, I can face anything. But I don't think I'll volunteer just yet. Over to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Dan, for that well-contrived speech. Indeed, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Thank you, everyone, for participating in this wonderful session. Back to you, Toastmaster of the evening.
Congratulations to all who have responded to the topics of the Topics Master. And here are some snippets I picked from all those who responded. Being authentic is the best thing that you can be. The Kenyan dream is hustle meets opportunity. My greatest fear came true, but I survived, lived, and thrived. At this moment, I will request the Sergeant at Arms to launch the poll so that we can vote for the best table topics speaker. I believe there were 4 participants and their names are on the poll. So please let us vote in the next 1 minute for the best table topics speaker. Let's keep on voting. The poll will close in 4, 3, 2, and 1. As a Toastmaster, I have often heard the phrase that feedback is the breakfast of champions. But I guess since it is almost 8 p.m., we are going to have this feedback for dinner. We will kick off speech evaluations with an evaluation of the first speaker. And before I call upon the content evaluator to take over from this point, I asked her, how do you balance honoring a speaker's core message while still encouraging them to adapt to their audience? And Leanne said, the Toastmasters evaluation criteria provides an avenue for people to understand how to provide feedback without diluting the strengths of the speech. I now ask Leanne to take over, and you will be inviting the delivery evaluator when you're done, and also the language evaluator. Welcome, Leanne.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the Day. Toastmaster Eric Mwangi, 16 years. I recognize that your speech was easy to follow. You honored your audience with personal stories of your dad, which allowed them to feel involved with your story. Your ability to break down the concepts in your speech in a manner that was easy for your audience to understand is one that I can only admire and hope to emulate. Your speech was structured around a purpose, an idea. It included a clear opening, a clear body, and a clear conclusion. Toastmaster Eric Mwangi, the speech that you delivered today, 16 years, was easy to follow. It allowed your audience to relate to you. You had effective transitions where the content of your speech transitioned from one part to another, and the segue was seamless. You engaged the audience attention by using stories that they could relate to, and then you moved forward, and once you are at the ending, you brought your audience in again so they could understand the essence of your conclusion. I love that the fact that you used the story of your dad as a relevant story to develop your speech. This enabled your audience to use stories to have a way with smoothness in a way that blended into the framework of your speech. 16 years. I could tell that for myself and for the audience, because most of the cameras were off, I could tell that the audience was held by your speech. There was excitement, and the speakers could relate to the content of your speech. Your speech brought value to the audience, it brought meaning. And what I can say is that your speech brought a contribution to the manner in which your audience thinks. What do I think you could do better with regards to the content of your speech? I think that you could give more relatable examples, because in as much as I felt the story about your dad was very relatable, I felt that you could involve your audience more in your speech by asking rhetorical questions, by engaging them in the manner in which they perceive the ideas that you had brought before them. But all in all, Toastmaster Eric, your speech was well developed. I love that the content of your speech was relatable to your audience. And I think that you're doing an amazing job, and I would recommend that you move on to the next speech. Thank you very much. And over to you, the next evaluator, Toastmaster.
The delivery evaluator should be next, and I believe that is Mathew George. So Mathew George, you're welcome. And after that, please pass the baton to Grace Waithira. Mathew George.
Is it just I?
I
Or
can't hear him.
He's muted. He is muted.
Mathew, you can hear me? You can try to contrive a way to make yourself audible.
You can hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Thank you for adapting to the situation.
Excellent. Thank you. Eric, it's a pleasure to be evaluating you. I feel you're a strong speaker. And why do I say this? It's because you had mastery over a few elements. The first is volume. We did not struggle to hear even a single word that you said. And even if you didn't have a mic, I suspect we would also be able to hear you quite clearly. The second is your projection. I suspect that if we were in a larger room and there were many audience members, we would still be able to be quite engaged and attentive to what you're saying. Also, your posture gave the indication that you're an experienced and confident speaker. You never lost eye contact with the camera, and that is not something that's easy to do when you're speaking to a screen. So well done. Your hand gestures were quite animated and active, and I think that they really helped to enhance your message. Further, there was an element of directness and authenticity that I got from your speech. I actually was able to connect with you because of that authenticity. However, this is an advanced Toastmasters club, and therefore my suggestions and my recommendations will need to be advanced as well. And therefore, I'll start with, when it comes to storytelling, I think it's very important that your tone of voice be congruent with the specific part of your message that you've reached. And at times I felt that at points where your voice could have been a lot more, hold a lot more gravity and somberness and seriousness, I felt they were a little bit lighthearted, and it did not bring us to that part of your speech that you really want us to be at. When it comes to storytelling, you want to carry us with you at that moment where you are in your speech. And this also goes hand in hand with your facial expressions. There were moments where your facial expression may not have carried the exact message that you were delivering at that specific point in time. And the third aspect that I would recommend some adjustment would be the range of pitch. I noticed your pitch was often on the higher side, and when it fluctuated on the higher side. But there are times when you may be talking about something a lot more serious and grave, and you may want to bring down your pitch a little bit lower. So these are three areas, and they're all elements that will enhance your storytelling, The first is your tone of voice to make it congruent with your message. The second is your facial expressions, just varying them according to the mood. And the third is the range of your pitch. Try bring your pitch a bit lower where possible in order to be congruent. And just a little bit of a bonus, I know by now, you know that when you prepare adequately, you are able to confidently memorize your beginning and your ending. I noticed at the ending, it wavered a little bit because perhaps it looked at you were struggling to remember the content of your speech. And the ending is very important for us because when you're trying to hit the message home, the ending is where you'll have us. So it's very important to memorize your ending as well as your beginning so that you conclude strongly. That being said, I completely concur with my earlier evaluator, Leanne, and I recommend you move on to your next speech. Thank you.
I will give the evaluation of the speaker's use of grammar. I found Eric's use of grammar to be very rich and colorful. He used metaphors, epigrams, repetition, and quotes to embellish his speech. For the metaphors, he compared his family to tall trees falling. His epigram, he used very clever and memorable statements such as, "Time is a monument." And I also liked how he described the average man with a suburban house, a mortgage, and a Labrador. I liked that he ended his speech with this quote by Albert Pike: "What we do for ourselves dies with us. What we do for others in the world remains and is immortal." Congratulations on your use of grammar, Toastmaster Eric. However, there were too many figures of speech, and I felt that you risked losing your audience. And while figurative language can be very powerful, you should only use it to emphasize your message, not bury it inside the figures of speech. In this case, the core message may have been lost amidst the flourish of your language. It's very odd for me to say that you toned down on your figure of speech, but in my opinion, that is what I felt as I was evaluating your grammar. Thank you, and back to you, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day.
Wonderful evaluations. We now proceed to the evaluation of the second speaker. And before I invite the content evaluator, this is the question I posed to Rahma. I asked her, what do you think is the hallmark of speech content that remains relevant across time? She responded by saying, a timeless speech touches the heart, stirs the mind, and inspires action. It uses stories, vivid language, and emotions that people from any generation can relate to. I now invite Rahma, who will invite the delivery evaluator. Then we'll get to hear from the language evaluator. Welcome, Rahma.
Naongea. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Amazing Toastmaster, and indeed, budgeting is key to financial freedom. What did I feel has stand out to me in your speech content? 1. I like the structure of your speech, having a simple yet provoking title with a brief introduction on the vitality of budgeting. A detailed body where you also gave us statistic that 75 of us do budget, but only 3% implement it, and many other information which you shared. And lastly, you had a call to action conclusion, encouraging us to budget wisely. 2. I felt your speech had a lot of value to us, especially in this life where we strive financially. You encouraged, motivated, and inspired most of us to budget our money wisely and not spend it on luxuries. With that, you met the purpose of the project. So, what should you do to take your speech to greater heights? 1. Consider restructuring your speech by restructuring well your speech, by making your title more engaging and powerful. For example, having a title like Roadmap to True Financial Freedom. We will want to hear what is that roadmap to true financial. I also felt you concluded but still continue giving other content. So before you give us a call to action conclusion, finish your content first, then give us a conclusion. Second, consider engaging the audience by posing a question or asking suggestion from them. For example, when you are giving the content, you may ask, don't you think so? You just want suggestion from the audience. This will encourage audience engagement. But all in all, your speech was awesome, and you may proceed to the next project. Thank you, and back to you. I now hand over to the speech, to the content, to the delivery evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Rahma. Budgeting, the key to financial freedom. Friends and fellow budgeters, I'm sure you can all agree that this was an excellent speech. Toastmaster Njeru, your voice is your power. I like the fact that we could hear everything that you were saying and words were easy to understand just because your voice was quite powerful and you maintained it throughout the speech. We did not struggle to listen to what you were saying. Therefore, your voice is your power. When it comes to pitch and a voice, there were particular areas where you used pitch quite well. For example, when you said, a budget is like a financial GPS. You raised your voice just so that we can understand how important budgeting is. The emotion here that you created for us is a sense of urgency. That was well put. And a great way of creating a sense of urgency is by raising your voice, especially when you want your message taken seriously. That being said, in terms of body language, there are two key areas that I loved. First of all is effective use of hand gestures. When you were saying a mere 3%, I could see you point to us, 3 fingers, a mere 3%, coupled with a touch of facial expressions. I could see you frown, a mere 3%, and you actually showed us how surprising the numbers are. That really added to your speech, and that was well done. That being said, since this is an advanced club, there are 3 key areas that you may want to work on to really add on to this pitch. Firstly is the physical appearance. Now, I noticed that the camera was tilted a little bit down. And for a moment, this took away from your hand gestures. It's like your fingers were a little bit cropped on the screen. And therefore, in such a virtual setting, I implore you to really have that mic check moment, that camera check moment, so that the camera is tilted at the eye level, so that at least we can see your upper torso and your eye as well. So really consider that. It really makes you a confident speaker. You appear more confident. You appear as if you want to inspire us in the first place. Secondly, incorporate the use of pauses. When you're describing the key areas to look at financially, our income, our spending, our saving, it felt a little bit rushed to the next sentence. This was an opportunity for you to pause, allowing us to digest that piece of information. Our income, our spending, our saving, pause. for a few seconds and then proceed with the next sentence so that we can understand how important that message is. Thirdly, which is the most important, is visual aids. Now, I felt that you had a lot to tell us about budgeting, but with those number of key points, it becomes difficult for us to remember everything that you say. Therefore, consider having some visual aids. You can consider, first of all, having props like a key, like budgeting, the key to success. Secondly, is having like pieces of paper when you're describing what budgeting can do. You had at least 5 key points of the importance of budgeting. Write them down on different pieces of paper. As you explain, show us on the screen so that we can at least remember everything that you said. All in all, keep up the voice projection, effective use of hand gestures and facial expressions and pitch. Consider having a better physical appearance, poses, and visual aids to your speech. You may proceed to your next body. Over to you, Grammarian.
Thank you, Toastmaster Isaac Ketao. Toastmaster Njeru's speech was colored with vocabulary and highly descriptive language. I noted the use of the word contemplate, akin, prevalence, foster, discipline is paramount, paves the way, lofty ambitions, dispel the myth. She used the word craft instead of draft a budget, embark on a journey, vulnerable to impulses. Her language was definitely colorful, and I liked that she compared budgeting to a backbone, a financial GPS, a freedom ticket. It tells your money to go to the gym. It acts as a guiding light to our finances, is a crucial buffer of life. She also compared debt to a clingy friend, and so on and so forth. Toastmaster Anne, that was very well used of grammar, and you really used it to emphasize what you are going to be telling us this evening. However, when you wanted to caution us about budgeting, you told us that you are raising an alarm. And in my opinion, the word alarm relates to danger to life and limb. I would propose using the words sound a note of caution or offer a cautionary note. I would also like to reiterate what I had already informed the previous speaker, that we only use figures of speech to highlight a certain point. I felt that your use of different ways to describe budgeting, however descriptive it was, it could have buried your message. There was too much use of comparison. You compared budgeting to a backbone, to a GPS, to a freedom ticket, and I would encourage you to probably use one or two instead of a multitude of comparisons in order to emphasize your language. With that, Toastmaster Anne, I felt that your grammar was really great this evening. You used it very well to emphasize your message. Thank you, and back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Well done, speech evaluators. Those were strong, positive, and quite encouraging evaluations. At this point, I will call on the Sergeant at Arms to launch the poll, and we are going to vote for the best evaluator. There were 4 evaluators, 2 content evaluators, and 2 delivery evaluators. But I'm also seeing now that the language evaluator was also part of the team, consider them even as you vote. We'll take the next 1 minute to do this exercise, so let's keep those votes coming in. We have about 5 seconds before we close the poll, so let us get done with this exercise. Right, and we can leave it at that. Thank you. SA for playing some music so that we avoid awkward silences. We now proceed to hear the reports from the various meeting functionaries, and we will start with the grammarian. Grace, please tell us how we used language this evening. Over to you, Grace.
Thank you so much, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day. The word contrive was not used very well this evening. It's a verb, and it's a word that you can easily incorporate into your speech. It was used by the Toastmaster of the Day 3 times, and Toastmaster Kelvin used it twice, and Toastmaster Kelvin used it once. Kelvin Rubia used it twice, and Kelvin Kimbio used it once. The improper use of grammar, I have already noted what the speakers said, and I have already shared with them. The word contrive was used at one point inappropriately. Someone said, you can try to contrive. Contrive already encapsulates the word try. So you should just eliminate the word try and say you can contrive. But the grammar this evening was really well used. I have already highlighted what the speakers said. They had very rich and colorful language. For the other speakers this evening, Toastmaster Tony said, not only existing, but I'm living. Toastmaster Timothy, see the fire in Mama Mboka, although I would encourage you to translate the word Mama Mboka. Toastmaster Leanne Agutu, segue was seamless, blended into the framework of your speech. Toastmaster Mathew George used the word congruent. I really liked that. And Toastmaster Isaac used the words, I implore you. On to my counter reports, there was very little use of catchwords and fillers. However, when we moved to the table topic session, I noted quite a number. Toastmaster Janet used 3 arms, 2 so, yeah, twice, and once. Toastmaster Messeret used twice and a once. Thank you, and back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Excellent report. Now we know where we can tie up the loose ends as far as grammar is concerned. We now proceed to the timekeeper, Serah Wanjiku. How are we doing on time?
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. I must commend all of us for keeping time and doing quite well. I'm now going to do the reports on how we did. I was working on pasting them on the chat box, but my laptop decided not tonight, but I'm doing my best. So our speaker this evening, our first speaker, Eric Mwangi, took 5 minutes and 59 seconds. Our second speaker, Toastmaster Anne, took 5 minutes and 39 seconds. For our table topic speakers, our first speaker, Toastmaster Sony, took 1 minute and 3 seconds. Our second speaker, Toastmaster Janet, took 53 seconds, meaning she was under time. Our third speaker, Toastmaster Messereti. If you're not Toastmasters yet, I have just shown you the way to go. Apologies if you're a guest. So Toastmaster Messereti took 26 seconds. Toastmaster Timothy took 1 minute and 10 seconds. Toastmaster Dan took 1 minute and 50 seconds. For our evaluations, our content evaluator 1, Toastmaster Leanne, took 3 minutes and 2 seconds. Our delivery evaluator 1 took 3 minutes and 25 seconds. Our grammar evaluator, who is also a grammarian, took 1 minute and 22 seconds as she evaluated our first speaker. On our second speaker evaluation, our content evaluator 2, Toastmaster Rahma, took 2 minutes and 48 seconds. Our delivery evaluator 2 took 3 minutes and 22 seconds. And our grammar evaluator took 2 minutes and 22 seconds. Our grammarian on her report took 2 minutes and 38 seconds. Overall, we are doing well with time. Let's keep it up, and over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
All right, and now it is time to hear from Leslie. Of course, for us to continue giving meeting participants a fair experience, we must listen to how everything went. And this is the point at which I will invite Leslie to give a master evaluation of this entire meeting. Leslie, over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. Table topic. I'm sorry, Mr. Toastmaster. Thank you so much. While I am not in the count, I will say that this meeting was contrived and yet organic. And the reason that I say that is that in all, particularly being a guest and particularly having not been in an advanced club or visited an advanced club, there were a lot of takeaways. So there were copious note-taking on my side, and I'm hoping I can share everything that I can with you in the allotted time. I believe I have 5 to 7 minutes. On our side, there's usually only 3, but I will certainly try to indulge and keep within your time frame. Going off of the general evaluator checklist, there were a number of notes that I made point of, and I want to touch base on some of them within the time frame that was allowed. First, I want to say before the meeting, as you guys were on Zoom, I appreciated the fact that everyone was there, everyone was on time, and I was immediately greeted, and it did appear that folks that were entered into the room were also invited to attend. I felt warm. I heard that there was music. I thought it was my radio, but actually there was. I appreciate that background. That was something that was very inviting. And quite often on the online clubs that we have here, I don't hear a lot of them with music. So that was a nice takeaway. I appreciate that you shared the online etiquette in full detail, particularly for someone that hadn't been online in a while or where your protocol might be different than ours. So I appreciate you doing that and sharing that with us in a way that was tolerable for me, particularly a guest, and any new Toastmasters coming. I especially like that you told them to use emojis and to use the technology. You definitely have a command of the technology. I'll say that even for so throughout the speech where I saw different folks were pinned, different folks were highlighted, and the timekeeper did an excellent job in ensuring that people knew exactly what the timekeeper role was and pinning accordingly. Very crucial considering just about everybody had a speaking role of which they would be relying on the timer. The Toastmaster, what can I say? You maintain continuity, and I loved your theme. Build to last, build to adapt. I love that you were focusing on stability. You opened it up with the story. Thank you for doing that because that gave me a feel for what the theme of the meeting was going to be, and I could feel that throughout. You also were very engaged in that you had not only prepared introductions for those various role takers. After each and every person spoke, you gave your own feedback or your reference to your own notes. That's very important to know that someone is engaged and listening to you at all times. As a Toastmaster, I appreciate you doing that, particularly for me. It appeared that every role was filled and every person that took a role was certainly very much aware of what their role was and what it was they were asked to do. And thank you so much for sharing that. I was always listening to see if there was something different than what we do with our club, but I appreciate always having that detail. I took a lot of notes. The speakers, I appreciate both of the speakers. Both speakers showed enthusiasm and you were prepared and you were dedicated, which is the number one thing about coming to a speech, coming to a meeting, being prepared and ready to speak. You were actually on camera and you utilize your technology wisely. I did agree with some of the feedback from some of the evaluators, and I'm glad that they were in tune with that as well to give you direction for going forward. I want to put in too that I love that you all have a vote for the best speaker, even when there are 2 speakers. We have always opted out if there were only 2, we would not vote. only 3 and above. But I like that you actually have a vote out there for however many speakers you have, and particularly love that everyone is able to give their own feedback online as well. Table Topics Master. I don't know why you just gave me that personality, and I said, this is going to be good. And that is what you want in a Table Topics Master, even before they announce what the title is or what the theme is. You came right in and you were very engaging. I'm going to challenge everyone that takes a table topic from this particular master to show yourself on camera. What I felt like I was missing is seeing the face. Facial expressions go so far, particularly when you have an opportunity to speak. And remember, no matter whether you're doing a table topics, evaluation, or even telling what your role is, it's an opportunity for you to speak. Therefore, I encourage everyone when possible to please come on camera so we can see your beautiful face and tie your sentiments onto your facial expressions as well. The evaluators, 3 evaluations for 1 speech. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I need to come back, particularly, yes, as an advanced club, but I just like even 2 or 3 on a general day. I definitely like that added feature of being an advanced Toastmasters club, and I love how detailed it was. If I were giving a speech, I know that I would walk away with so much feedback. I would probably do my speech over again. That's how I am. But I appreciate that you gave them opportunity to move on to the next speech. Lastly, I just want to say, as your role taker, as a general evaluator, Kevin, thank you so much for offering me this role. You already have a layout for how your meeting takes place. I would suggest having this general evaluation role prior to your formal role, so they too can be evaluated on their speaking opportunity. As I'm speaking today, I would love to know how many times I used the word contrive. I would love to get that Grammarian report because that was so detailed. Ooh, juicy. I really wanted one for myself. So that's just my only suggestion with as far as the layout of the speech of your program. Overall, as I pin the timer, I just want to say thank you again for having me. This club is dedicated to enabling a contrived and yet organic session. So therefore, there is no reason why anyone that does not have a speaking role is not able to participate. And that is the true mark of a Toastmasters Advanced Club. Over to you.
Well done, Leslie. Thank you so much for giving us that detailed report as well as recommendations on how we can better our meetings moving forward. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the tail end, at least, of the prepared speeches, evaluations, and reports section. But as we close, I want us to return to the story that inspired tonight's theme, and that's the story of the Choluteca Bridge. Let us remember that it was built with long-term thinking in mind, not adaptability. And that is why when the river changed course, the bridge lost its purpose. And therein lies the lesson. Whether in leadership, communication, or even personal growth, it's not enough to endure. We must stay relevant. Let us not build to last, but let us build to adapt. I now return control of this meeting back to the president. Over to you, Robert.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Winston, on such an expert captaining of our meeting this evening. You really took us through all those sections in a very, very amazing way. We felt like we were in safe, secure hands of a seasoned Toastmaster. Thank you so much for the amazing lessons, also from the theme that is selected from this meeting, reminding us it is quite important for us to always adapt to the circumstances that we are faced with. I would like also to thank all the role takers for serving up such an amazing evening and meeting to all of us. I would now like to call upon the votes, the results for the votes that we've taken in the course of this meeting. And I'll just go ahead and announce them. So we'll start off with the best speaker. And the best speaker for this meeting, drum rolls, was Eric Kariuki. Congratulations, Eric, on an amazing speech this evening. We really did. It was an honor for us to listen to you deliver your icebreaker speech at Watabaruku Advanced Toastmasters Club. And the best table topic speakers were, drum rolls again, we had a tie of Sonia Macharia and Dan Mukendi. Congratulations on an amazing job from the both of you. Thank you so much for gracing Watabaruku Advanced Toastmasters. And finally, the best evaluator for our meeting this evening. Final drum rolls. Grace Waithira for taking up the language evaluator role for this meeting. Excellent work from you, and congratulations to all of us who are voted, and also thank you so much to all the role takers for an amazing job. I would now like to invite the Vice President Education to tell us about our next meeting and tell us if there are any roles that need to be filled.
Much obliged, Mr. President. Our next meeting will take place on the 25th of July, Friday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. East African time. That is 2 weeks from now. The following roles are up for grabs. I am looking for volunteers for the General Evaluator role, Timer role, Topics Master, Content Evaluators, and Delivery Evaluators. In case anyone is available during that time and would like to take a role, please let me know now by raising your hand. Topics Master, Timer, 2 Content Evaluators, 2 General Evaluators. Thank you, Rahma. What role would you like to take?
Timer.
Timer. Fantastic. I have slotted you in. I'm also looking for a General Evaluator. Anyone else, friends? Our Toastmaster of the day, by the way, will be Robert Karanja, DTM, our club president.
Fantastic. I think, yeah, please reach out to the Vice President Education if you are available. We have another hand. Njeru. Which role would you like to take?
I would like to take Topics Master.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rahma and Njeru, for taking up those roles. Please reach out to the Vice President Education for the evaluator roles and also the general evaluator role. Thank you so much, everyone, for an amazing evening. I would like to open up this opportunity to those who have joined us for the first time. Please tell us what you thought of our meeting and what you took away from it. Anybody who would like to speak at this point in time, visiting Toastmasters or just guests who visited us for the first time? Anybody? Yes,
Okay.
Timothy. And then Sonia.
Hello, Toastmasters. This meeting was amazing. I loved the way you engaged everyone in this meeting. I loved how it is well organized. Usually when you join online meetings, it's usually drama and chaos, background noises and everything. But here, it's just so amazing. That's my takeaway for today. And if all goes well, I really want to join and become a member of this Toastmasters Club. Thank you all and have a good night.
Thank you so much, Timothy. We're going to be in touch with you on how to become a member of Watabaruku Toastmasters. Sonia Macharia, please tell us your thoughts.
Yes, good evening, Toastmasters. It has been such a joy to join you in today's meeting. when I saw the meeting and it was an advanced Toastmasters, I must say, I had some jitters and excited at the same time. And I said, as an emerging Toastmaster who just began, who is still in the first level, I decided, let me just show up and see what it's going to be like. To be very honest, I did have the feeling that I'm going to be called up to do the table topics. And that has been my greatest fear. It was my first time to actually do it. So I'm very excited. As much as I was in a meeting in an advanced Toastmasters club, I felt at home, I felt comfortable, and it has been a wonderful evening. I have so many takeouts to take home. The timeliness, you started on time, the order, the speakers, the Toastmaster of the day, everything was so great. And I have a lot that I can take back to my club. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sonia, for joining us. Sonny, for joining us this evening. And take our greetings back to Lerai Toastmasters. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us this evening. Looking forward to seeing all of us on the 25th of July for our next, the second meeting of this Toastmasters year. And we would like to wish you an amazing weekend and a great, great night. Thank you so much once again. This meeting is adjourned.